Then, yes, hi. Okay, I want to welcome all of you to join me in the meeting. And maybe before we start, you can do a little bit introduction of your organization and yourself. And then I will be asking you some questions. Okay, so who wants to go first?
Okay, well, since I reached out to you first, Rose, I will get started first. My name is Vicki Xu, and I'm the Director of Development and Communications for Ibalsi. The development and communications arm of Ibalsi is the fundraising and media, so to speak, or component for Ibalsi. So we help raise funds to support all the great programming that we do at Ibalsi. We don't just build homes, we build healthy neighborhoods and really want to make sure that residents and community members have the resources to not just live day to day, but really thrive. And we're excited to talk about that more soon. I'm going to now pass it over to Al, who is our Executive Vice President for Resource Development and Communications.
Thank you, Vicki. I recently joined Ibalsi, and all I know right now is about Ibalsi is thanks to Vicki, Elizabeth, and my colleagues. But I can tell you, Rose, that what compelled me to join Ibalsi was seeing that this is one of the very few organizations that actually puts its money where its mouth is and really reinvests in the community and cares about building wealth for everyone and giving them opportunities. So my background is in international development, but also in organizational development and in fundraising. And I'm excited to be moving from LA to Oakland and join these very badass women who are doing trailblazing work. And I'll pass it over to Elizabeth.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Rose. So I'm Elizabeth Maggio. My position is Associate Director of Economic Opportunities. As you've heard from Vicki and from Elle, one of the major focuses that Ibalsi has is in neighborhood development and in community development. Yes. One of its, what I would call standing pillars, development work is something that we call income and wealth building opportunities. Which means that we not only find and make sure that people are housed and make sure that the community is developing and thriving, but that on an individual level, we help to build wealth. And so the programs that I look over are 3 right now. The first is called Spark Point, which is a financial coaching program that's done as an initiative of the United Way of the Bay Area. And we provide free financial coaching to people in Oakland and in the areas. And our second one is VITA, which you might be familiar with. There's our free tax.
I heard about that, yes.
Yes, we've been doing that for quite a long time, almost 20 years now. And the third piece, especially during these times, is rental assistance. That we help match funds that are provided for rental assistance with tenants who are back, have some back rent that's due. Get them out of the hole that maybe the pandemic has helped build for them. So yes, the focus of our work right now.
Yes, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. That's wonderful. Yeah, that really expands the scope of work that Ibalsi is doing, because in my mind, it has always been building. You have buildings all over the place. So when I go into your website, I see all these, but your little video, you have a small video about a couple minutes, which is really great because you actually touch upon all the different other things that you guys are doing. So what I would like to do is ask you some questions. Now, some of those you might have already touched on, and some of those may be already on the website, but I think it's good that we kind of focus on that. So if someone can tell me, what is the vision and the mission of Ibalsi?
Well, we envision, for Ibalsi, we envision an East Bay where everyone has the resources to thrive, whether it's cultural institutions, educational opportunities, and financial, as well as financial growth and wealth building. And so that's what we envision, that we want that for everyone. Our mission is to run those programs in order to realize that vision. So it's as Elizabeth had talked about some of those programs. Other programs include our resident and community services. We provide direct services to our residents. We also empower our residents. We have a resident leadership council, which also has their own programs that they want to run within, not just but within their communities. So that's kind of, what in the short kind of elevator pitch, so to speak, is what we do, our vision and mission.
Now, if I were to say, give me in one sentence, maximum 2, what is your vision and mission? What would that be? Someone else can chip in.
Vicki, would you like me to share what we have in our strategic refresh?
It would be nice to show some visual for people to be able to, and this is, since you're going to be posting this online, this is off the cuff, so it's unrehearsed.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want me to allow you to share screen? Someone has that actually available to do that?
Yeah, if you could allow us to share screen, that would be great.
Sure. Okay, I already clicked that. So you can, whoever wants to maybe do a short introduction. The key is, what is your vision and mission? Because you actually have a whole lot of programs. So I'd like to get it focused. Yes. Anyone got it?
So I have the basic mission statement in a slide, if you want me to share that.
Sure, go ahead.
Does that work? Okay, it's always funky for me when I share slides on SharePoint. So give me just a second.
Sure, no problem. Is it on your website?
It might be on our website.
Okay.
I know that the statement is on the website. It's just that I'm sorry, speaking and doing at the same time or not.
I know. It's a challenge in here.
It is a challenge. You have challenged me this afternoon. I love it.
Okay.
Okay. So let me share what I have and then let's go.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Just a second.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is what we often say, encapsulate what we do. We envision an East Bay where everybody has a place to call home.
Perfect.
Can access quality education. Can obtain good jobs. Families can enjoy welcoming public spaces, and neighbors can enjoy culture and creativity. And these 4 pillars, are the 4 things that we've been talking about, which are central to what Ibalsi stands for. And I don't know if you can see them.
No, maybe it will be helpful if you read them. So yeah, that's good.
Elizabeth, if you
maybe move it down a little bit. Yes.
Like that?
Good.
Okay.
Yes.
So the first one is strong neighborhood partnership networks. Tells you that at the core of what Ibalsi does, collaboration is key.
Yes.
Rarely see us doing things individually. You will often see us doing things in collaboration with both the individuals and the organizations that work in different neighborhoods.
Good.
We provide affordable rental housing options.
I know that one.
More of what you were talking about, right?
Yes.
That's what what our start has been, is fundamentally this combination of neighborhood and housing. The third pillar is community and resident engagement. I was saying before, it's not enough for us to serve, but we want the voice of the community to be real and to be a part of what we do. So we encourage neighborhood action, and we encourage neighborhood and strategic development of what we do. And the last one is the one that I represent, which is income and wealth building opportunities. And that's what I talked about before, which is going beyond the needs of the neighborhood to address specific need of income and wealth building to help people work out of poverty.
So that's why you go into the tax preparation, the financial planning or advice, and so that they can get out of their current situation and be able to grow. And when they grow, the whole community grows. Now, the question for you is, how is your number 1 different than your number 3?
How are strong neighborhood partnership networks different from community and resident engagement?
Yeah.
Okay. So Vicki, if you want to speak up to it, that's fine. I don't want to keep the mic.
So it's good. Community and resident engagement. That's what I had mentioned before, the Resident Leadership Council is an example of what that means. They come up with action items that they want to see happen, whether it's within their building or within the community. So for example, Chinatown Resident Leadership Council, they just put up a art exhibit over at the Asian Resource Center in Chinatown.
Wow.
And the theme of it is racial justice. So they came up with it themselves,
Uh-huh.
the Resident Leadership thing, that then they came up with, what kind of exhibit they wanted to show.
Mhm.
So example right there, what they're doing. We had residents who are at our senior building in the Avalon in Emeryville, and they really wanted to make sure that they could have a crosswalk to go across San Pablo Avenue safely
Yes.
to stores there, but there's no crosswalk. And so they petitioned the city to build a crosswalk, and it recently opened about maybe a month or so, maybe a month ago.
Uh-huh.
It opened. So those are examples of like resident-led engagement. That's
see.
really important. That really doesn't just impact the building, but impacts the community. In terms of strong neighborhood partnership.
Can I just add a point here,
Sure.
Vicky? And just building on what Vicky is saying, I think, I've been kind of inducted to this term that Ibalsi is about placemaking. How do you make people feel like this is their home? It's by also through civic engagement and their ability to feel like this is my home. I have a say in how I live and how I build my community and how I make my environment better, not just for me, but for everyone. So this is like, it has ramifications beyond placemaking and also like building good citizenship, good neighborhood culture. It's really about in helping people en route in Oakland. Okay. And in the other cities that we work with. So in that example was, for example, in Maryville.
Okay, so how is the number one? Is number one different from that? It sounds like, okay, I'm not sure if it's correct now. Number three sounds is more focused on a specific community. Let's say you have all these houses. You have some in Chinatown, you have some in different parts of Oakland. So that number three is more like, okay, how can we make Chinatown a specific place? What else do we need to put into here? So what is number one then?
So number one is what we call the collaborative work that we do in neighborhoods. So we have, for example, helped. We're part of the organization that belongs to the Open Chinatown Coalition, for example, and we work with other organizations to discuss more and come up with more community-wide solutions. So whether that's safety, whether that's to help with businesses, whatever that neighborhood is looking for. Our other cooperatives are out in Havens Court, Healthy Havens Court, and that's East Oakland. And that area is really about, working some of their priorities around health because of air quality in that area. And West Oakland along the San Pablo Avenue corridor, that area is also about like small businesses, culture, as well as health. So it really, and when we go into those neighborhoods, we work with numerous stakeholders, and we're not the leader. We try to we can be a backbone or coordinator, but we really want those organizations that actually operate in those neighborhoods, that provide services, to come up with solutions. And we help to kind of not broker it, especially, but to help organize it. So that's what those strong neighborhood networks are. We know that this can't be done. So for example, I mean, even it's not necessarily a neighborhood collaboration, but just in for Spark Point, they over this during the pandemic, like with our partners, we can't do it alone, right? We've distributed a lot of money, financial assistance, rental assistance, and other kinds of assistance to community members. And our part of it was 1 million. But the collaborative part or the partnership part is 9 million. So we really believe that when we work in these partnerships, that we really have much higher impact. So that's one major example.
Very good. Wonderful.
And I don't know, Elizabeth, did you want to say something about that?
Well, I think if you look at how organizations like nonprofit organizations and cities have helped in neighborhoods a long time ago, we found that they were helping individually. But over time, we found that if we brought all of those individual voices together, so that instead of working as individual organizations with our own strengths,
Yes.
we came to the table and saw how those strengths could work together to bring more to the neighborhood. That's really what the first pillar is all about.
I see. So it's kind of trying.
Each organization and
Good.
finding a way for them to work together to solve the neighborhood issues.
Yes. So it sounds like number 3 is within your own community. So then the residents have more control, more say in what they really need in that particular group. And your number 1 is actually broadening out to the whole outside community. And that would impact the environment of maybe the entire city, the entire region. And you also pull in other outside organizations, maybe other nonprofits, maybe, I don't know, city council or whoever that you might need in order to get what really is important to be done for the entire community.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful,
Absolutely.
wonderful.
And I must say, with the residents' voices in there.
Yes.
So not just the external organizations, but the resident voices are critical.
Yes, it's like pulling everyone together. And
Yes.
definitely one person has only limited strength and limited capability. But when you are able to work with the entire group, then you get all the strength from everyone. And it's like pulling one cart instead of with one horse, you have like 10 horses.
You have it exactly.
Okay, wonderful,
Perfect.
wonderful.
Perfect.
Now, okay, my next question would be, what are the major accomplishments that you can recall in the last 2 years? I know the last 2 years have been the most challenging because of, whatever we are going through. So if you were to reflect back on those 2 years, what would you say are your major accomplishments?
Great. So I'm going to share my screen now. And one of the
Perfect.
things to share with you is
Okay.
our 2020-2021 impact report. It really, and I'll share the link as well with you later, but
Okay.
it really highlights incredible work that we've done. Everything, and it's quite a lot. So
Okay.
we'll share this. So here we go. We called it, we wanted to really title it Creating Community, Investing in Community, and Building Community, because it really does highlight the incredible work that we're doing within Ibalsi. And a little introduction from our CEO, Andy Madeira, and Sean Sullivan, who is our board chair.
Okay.
And here's our visioning statement that you had asked about.
Okay, great.
And but we recognize a lot of things were happening this past couple of years. Matter, the Stop AAPI Hate, and of course, what really has been in our face here in the Bay Area is the housing crisis. We talked about our Healthy Neighborhoods approach earlier, about this fan where we're looking at, what communities actually need in their neighborhoods that we work on. So just a little background here, but as people were being displaced, we talked about the housing crisis. We found homes for families, and in fact, gosh, what year are we now? We're 2020.
We're 22.
So 2019, December of 2019, we opened our newest developed housing, our home, which is Casa Arabella in the Fruitvale district. And we were able to move people in right before the holidays. And that we're really pushing for that to happen. So that was a really big one. But in addition to that, we also, we're always trying to move people into our homes if we can. Elizabeth talked earlier about wealth building and how, it's where we try to help as many people and businesses as we can. We have 114 small businesses and nonprofits who are our tenants. also, so we really try to make sure that they were also surviving. And one of the, I think what we're really proud of is that through support from numerous funders, we were able to make sure that 95%, and this is not right here, but 95% of our business, our commercial tenants are still operating. And so as we're hearing about businesses going out of business, or not, it's even going out of or closing, we're actually working really hard to make sure that they're still around and still in operation. And during this time, when we, community and resident engagement, we talked a lot about, and we really work to make sure that we're constantly engaging with our tenants and residents. So we estimate, we're always like between 4,000 to 6,000. And we continue that. That's something that we really are proud of, because we're not just about the four walls of a home or the rooms. Oh, look at that. So here we go.
Okay.
So here we just kind of have, some of I had mentioned this before, we contributed 1 million out of the 9 million in financial assistance that was distributed over the past 2 years, which is pretty phenomenal considering how we don't have a huge staff, and this team is just phenomenal. The economic opportunities team, the food distributions, I think it was 100. I think it's even more than this, but it's a lot of meals, especially some of our tenants in our senior buildings where residents were afraid to come out. So to be able to deliver food was a really important thing. I actually going to look at this number here, 12,000 plus wellness calls. And you're wondering, like, what's a wellness call? Staff, our resident and community services staff actually make phone calls, residents, to make sure they're okay.
Yes, that's
phone
good.
calls. So we're not your typical landlord. I don't for my building management. Our residents will hear from us. And that's a really important thing, because these are people picking up the phone and making phone calls, and they're done in languages. So they're done in language. So whether it's Chinese, Vietnamese, Spanish, they're done in language. The other, if one of the things that really kind of shone through during the pandemic is this need for a creative outlet, and how important our creative community development work is in allowing individuals as well as community members to really to kind of have a voice and say something, and just especially during the pandemic. Here, this is the San Pablo Hotel. This is one of the walls, and it's a mural. And this woman right here is Yuriko Chiyama, the civil rights leader. So she's probably one of our most famous residents of the San Pablo Hotel. But the San Pablo Hotel finished a renovation this past year. So the San Pablo Hotel is our single resident occupancy building, and it's all seniors and low income. Many of them are formerly, not many of them, but I think many of them were formerly homeless. And so we purchased this building many years ago, but we continue to rehabilitate our building. We renovate our buildings. So this was part of that project. And there was we had a very socially distanced outdoor event to kind of reveal the murals during this past year. Another thing that we also spearheaded over the last 2 years was our 45 Stories for 45 years. It's been now around for 47 years, but to commemorate 45 years of storytelling, we really we went back and asked residents, community leaders, board members, former board members to tell their story, and it was their story, but how Ibalsi was part of that story. And it's all on our website, all these stories, and there's significant people that are part of that. During a time when people weren't able to be coming together indoors, Marketplace, which is right next to the California Hotel, they actually were able to bring people together, really build community and create community. And that's a really important thing for everyone. Another thing, as we're talking about investing, this is Spark Point Oakland, all the great work that Elizabeth and her team has been doing. at Spark Point.
Mhm.
Still, even though we are, it's not done in person, we're still able to help with this is our VITA program that you're
Yeah.
familiar with.
Mhm.
And really to kind of still provide the really important work for residents, whether it's to help with especially their credit
Mhm.
and financial goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I may, if we can go back to that slide just for a moment, and I'd like to hear more from Elizabeth just to illustrate those numbers a little bit. I think one of the interesting stories that I found out about Ibalsi is that it has been able, through this VITA program, that it shepherded, and it's now an example that our lead sponsor is opening across the nation, and it showed that we're able to put back a lot in the community. I think Elizabeth said that Ibalsi's been able to put back $25 million within the community, if I'm not mistaken, since the beginning of that program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The VITA program, the tax refund program, really came out of a long time ago, way before we ever got into it, but the recognition that people really, especially people who couldn't afford to have their taxes done for them, were leaving money on the table, so to speak. They weren't taking advantage of the credits and the opportunities that were available through their taxes.
Mhm.
So when we took on VITA, it was for that very reason. And the first year we did it, we probably had 19 clients.
That's good.
We
That's
just
good.
helped people. We just tried to do what we could. But it became very clear. I think a couple things became very clear to us. The first was, from the client side, people were really hungry for this kind of help. They didn't know what was available to them. They didn't know what credits were available.
Mhm.
And especially during COVID, people who couldn't access the credits because they hadn't filed taxes before. So we helped people to access funds that were available to them and wouldn't have been available any other way.
Mhm.
The other thing that we've done through VITA is gone beyond just using it as tax preparation.
Mhm.
Just like we connect lots of other things in what we do, part of the fundamental success
Mhm.
involved in building your wealth is to start saving. Saving, huge factor.
Yes.
Studies show that even if you save $500, the chances of you moving out of poverty increase exponentially.
Mhm.
So what we do at Savings Time is we actually educate each of the people that comes in to save money. And even during the pandemic, we're one of the top 2 sites in Alameda County, both in terms of amount saved and number of people who saved and percentage of people who save.
Mhm.
So we really focus on, even if you only can do a little bit, just put it aside.
Mhm.
I had people this year who were going through a really tough time and actually apologized. They said, I've been saving for years and I just can't do it this year, but I'll do it next year, because it's become ingrained in what they do, So Vicky's absolutely correct and Elle is correct. I think over the years, we have put something like $25 million back into the community from the refunds that people have gotten on their taxes.
Mhm.
And we've had many programs that have focused on getting credits back, on people being able to access the funds and people understanding what it means.
Mhm.
Even if it's from the point of view of people who work for themselves and aren't setting taxes aside and at the time have these huge bills that they weren't prepared for.
Right.
Start educating them on how do you do that? How do you do that in a different way so that
Mhm.
you're not hit so hard?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we don't just provide the service. We really are a one-stop shop.
Yes.
Come into us for taxes and we look at that and we go, hey, I've noticed your debt's a little high. You need some help with that, Help with your student loan. And so we shepherd them into Spark Point and help them in a more holistic way.
That's
So.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm a CPA and I had a practice for 30, maybe 40 years. And that's one of the things that is very important is after doing taxes, you want to help your client to be able to build a much better future. And that's where the financial planning coming in. So that is kind of the one of the results that is going to help them on the long term, rather than just like one time. Okay, I give you a meal ticket and then you leave.
Exactly.
But it's instead of just giving you a meal, then I'm going to show you something. Maybe you can plant some seeds and next time you can grow a tree.
Exactly, exactly.
Exactly.
Rose, that is the heart of what we do. Thank you.
Yes,
Well
yes.
put.
Yeah.
Very
And there's
good,
one-
very good.
Yeah, one of the stories that actually Elizabeth shared with us this past, maybe was it last month or so? One of the the Spark Point Oakland clients, she's found a flyer.
Mhm,
She was staying in a homeless shelter
mhm,
and learned about Spark Point and came in, and she made a few goals. One was to reduce her debt, actually get rid of her debt, I think,
Mhm.
was to go to college or get a
Yes.
degree. And then finally was to buy a home.
Mhm.
And she did that. She did that within 4 years. Is that it, right? Within 4
Yeah.
years, she did this. And these were her goals. So when they come in, it's actually, when we're talking about resident voices or community voices, here's an example.
Mhm.
They come up with the goals. We don't say you have to do this.
Right.
Like, what are your goals?
Uh-huh.
And I think, her story is, there are a lot of those kind of stories that come out of
Mhm, mhm.
Oakland and our economic opportunities work. So
Yes.
it's,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So we talked about earlier, we have we're not just home, we're the largest, Ibalsi is the largest commercial landlord in the East Bay. We have
Oh,
over
really?
1,000, we have over 300,000 square feet of commercial space.
Uh-huh.
The Center in Chinatown was our first building. That's all commercial property right there.
Mhm,
So you can imagine how much we had to really work with them
mhm,
to make sure that they stayed in business during the pandemic. And here are some of the results of that.
Right.
So that was just a really
Mhm.
thing. Of course, we build. There's a lot of building that we do, and
Yes.
here is just a rendering. Eventually, we're going to be working on the Lake Merritt Station. We are the lead developer for the Lake Merritt Station. It will have senior housing as well as family housing, all affordable, and as well as discounted commercial rent, commercial spaces.
Mhm.
So really looking forward to that hitting the ground soon. Hasn't happened yet, but we're making sure it's going to work soon.
Uh-huh.
Here's a photo of a family that actually moved into Casa Arabella.
Uh-huh.
I was with them actually during the walkthrough. They're very super excited. And in the pipeline, we have over 1,100 units across 13 buildings coming up. So we're busy. The pandemic hasn't stopped us, and you can live our footprint throughout the East Bay here.
Mm.
But yeah, a lot is happening in terms of the building part. And I mentioned already, there's a video that's also on our, that you had mentioned you saw some videos, but this is a great video to see how our residents were engaged in the process of the renovations of both San Pablo Hotel as well as Madison Park Apartments, which is in Chinatown. If you look really closely, this is
Actually, you are actually going over my next topic, which is what are your new directions.
Oh, we will have.
You read my mind on this one.
Yeah, definitely. Things are happening. Frenchie Bar will be opening up soon. That's right in Chinatown. One of our, award-winning. This actually is an award, like a nationally, actually internationally recognized building.
Do you know that I was one of your original tenants?
Were you really?
Yes.
Really?
I moved into that building, and that was actually I was the original tenant in one of your commercial units. I have my CPA firms there.
Oh wow! So were you actually lived at Frenchie Bar?
No, my office, my accounting office, my practice was there.
Oh, fabulous.
When
well,
we
Spark Point
had-
Oakland is now there.
Yeah, so that's where Spark Point Oakland, their office is there now. So you're going to have, once everything is safe, and you're going to have to come, and we're going to have, I think, we're hoping we'll have a grand reopening. We do outdoor space there, as you may know. So you will have to be there, Rose. Where you were used to be. That's great. That's great.
Yes. Okay.
And then, this is Casa Arabella. It's right near Fruitvale Farm. and really focusing on transit-oriented development.
Right.
And that's another great video that you can watch later about the partnerships that we build in order to make these projects happen. Look at all these partners.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
It's not just, it's a lot of people that come together. And,
Yes. Yes.
Secretary Housing Urban Development Secretary Marsha Fudge actually came to visit our property a while ago.
Okay.
So really exciting for her to visit us. The Wilma Chan, who recently
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
such an advocate for our community, was really instrumental in helping us, and we just wanted to make sure that she was recognized and very close to her. And then, here we have our neighborhood partnerships and how important the neighborhood partnerships were during the pandemic.
Yes.
This image is inside Esson Park Apartments, which was recently renovated. This is right across the street from the Lake Merritt BART station. So
this is the lobby.
Yeah, this is
okay.
It's nice, right? Isn't it pretty?
Very nice. It looks like a living room.
Yeah. Is it something else, Elizabeth? You said?
I think it's downstairs in the basement area because the
area. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is they've totally recreated that space. That space was very functional before, but now it's so warm and inviting. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay.
And mentioned we have an Oakland Chinatown coalition. Really, all the food that we did. We worked with the World Central Kitchen, other partners like Good Eats was really part of that. And to really, and also came together during the shooting. The Asian American women coming together, but really, and also promoting the Chinatown Ambassador Program, which is really instrumental for safety. That was our San Pablo. I mentioned as in the other collaborative, which is the West Oakland, and all the things that they had to, again, in collaboration, working with small businesses, also meal distributions. Making sure their health is good, helping business, and also one of the other big things I was exciting last year is that we helped them kick off the Black Liberation Walking Tour, which is happening in West Oakland. The Healthy Havens Court in East Oakland. So let's see here, it's a huge neighborhood right near the Coliseum, and again, all these residents that were supported for meal distributions. I mean, over nearly 150,000 meals that time. Again, we don't do it alone. We work really closely with other organizations. Really close ties with the MLK Junior Library over there. The rental assistance for the residents is really key, and what SPO does, what Spark Point Oakland and Havens Court Collaborative, Healthy Havens Court does is they do a lot of projects together, including training programs too. So I'm gonna keep going because there's a lot. For a lot of things, and it was like, well, we have a lot of things. And this is so, and you can definitely look at it as want to go through.
I suppose all this is on your website. Is that correct?
It is on our website.
Okay.
Okay. So you had asked, you said, what's next for EBALDC? And so we did go through what we call a strategic refresh, where we're going to start a strategic plan process for this year. But we wanted to, in between our last strategic plan and our next one, to kind of let's focus on what we want to do now and get ready, because we don't just stop doing things. And so really wanted to make sure that we wanted to really look at, maybe we should be exploring development outside of Oakland, because housing isn't just about the Bay Area is suffering from the housing crisis, and how can we best address the housing crisis? And one of those ways is to look at it as a more regional issue for us, and to start exploring having a larger presence outside of Oakland. We already have presence in Richmond and San Pablo and Emeryville, but let's look at where we're going from there. Other one is exploring as part of that more strategic neighborhood partnerships and really seeing, who else can we partner with? There's so many organizations, and who else are we going to partner with? And then the third big thing initiative we're looking into is supportive housing. Our resident services actually does a lot of supportive housing already, but to really hone in on it, to really have, whether it's on-site supportive housing, a lot more kind of more focused on like specific supportive housing, and looking at that to address a lot of community needs. Because what we found is that regardless of whether we have supportive housing, we have a lot of residents who actually do need a lot of support, because if they are formerly homeless, if they are, their health is bad, or things like that. So we really are looking at that, and we do have, you can look at our strategic refresh of a nice one pager that you can look at as well. That's on our website.
Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on what you mean by supported housing?
So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
No, I was just nodding. That's a good question.
Yeah. So for example, we have in, let's say, San Pablo Hotel, we currently have residents who are formerly homeless. You're formerly homeless, and now you're housed. Just because you're housed doesn't mean that any other issues that you might have had are going to go away. Maybe there's mental health issues. Maybe there's physical health issues. There's also financial health issues. So it would be much more specifically working directly one-on-one, putting more resources into that kind of work. Right now we're doing it. What we also do is we work with other organizations to provide the case management work. And we're really looking at bringing that more in-house, because that way it's integrated with all of the things that we do. And so if we have it so that we do some of it here, another organization does some of it somewhere else, it's not integrated into what we consider our healthy neighborhoods approach to development and community development and resident development. So really hone in to put more energy into supportive housing, because we do see it as a need.
Okay. Now, excuse me, I might only have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
I have another meeting to go to.
Okay.
Maybe if I can also share with you a little bit of what I would really like to do. Okay. Actually, what I was thinking about, I think I probably need a lot of help and advice from you guys, since you are so very, very experienced in what you're doing. One of the things that I would really like to do is to be able to create a nonprofit organization that works with low-income seniors, single mothers, and the dependent kids, so they can be together in an intergenerational environment. Because right now in our society, they are all separated in different places. The seniors are in senior home, and a lot of them are always waiting for people to come and visit them and pay attention to them. But all the young people are too busy. They got too many things going on. They just couldn't. So we find that there's a lot of like depression and hopelessness in those environments. So it's kind of really sad. And then with the kids, again, a lot of times when you're a kid of a single mother, the mother is totally stressed with everything going around. So a lot of times the kids may not get the attention that they want to. And when the kids are not getting that attention, they might go get it somewhere else. And that might create a lot of problems down the road. Of course, the single mothers, they are totally stressed. They don't know what to do. They are financially stressed. They have a kid around there kind of maybe yelling, crying, I don't know what. So this also gives them an opportunity to learn something new, to find a new job, maybe finish the education. They could be very talented, but they don't have the chance. They don't have the money. They don't have the time. So I was thinking about by putting all the three groups together, then the kid would be able to have maybe someone like a grandparent someone that they can talk to who loves them, and then also give the senior a sense of hope so that they also will say, hey, I am not totally useless. I can also participate in this young child, although he's not my grandchild, but hey, he's a child and I can really help. When people get out of themselves and be focused on someone else, there is hope. And then with hope, there's joy, and there comes health. So that would eliminate a lot of the health issues because of depression and all that. And then the child, of course, would benefit. Someone to play with, to have fun with, then they don't have to worry about. And then they will grow. They will learn much faster because of the time that they have for their creativity. And of course, the single mother would definitely benefit, having a new job, something they really like. And maybe they find someone that they really like and start a new family. So by bringing all of them together, it will help not just the residents themselves, but it will also impact the whole community. So that is something that I would really like to be able to do. And you guys are the biggest in terms of housing. And now that I know you run all this community program, which is totally wonderful. So this is kind of a first, conversation. So I was thinking how we may be able to help these people. So that all of us would benefit, because you are not looking at like one resident or one person. You actually have a much bigger picture of what is going to happen in the community here. And the way I look at it, this is not just like a one program right here. And then if this model works, it can go to other parts of the country. There are actually already other communities, not in the Bay Area though. Maybe not even in Northern California. There may be one group down in Southern California is doing something like that, but not exactly. So that's something that I'm really, really interested in doing. And I'd like to see if there's any way we can work together, or definitely I'll learn from you as to what to do. My past life has been a CPA. So financial for me is good. But other things, I know you guys must have a really, really strong expertise in fundraising. This baby here needs a lot of fundraising. My goal is to service 200 seniors, 200 single mothers, and 300 to 400 kids. They will be all in one community, not in the same building, because I've heard that the federal law, whatever, don't allow you to have seniors and young people together, but they could be in the vicinity, very close by, and they can have a community room that they interact together. Mm. So that's my dream. And that's something that hopefully we will be able to, think about it and start something together. And personally myself, I really like to support you guys. And actually, I think the founder of your organization might have worked with me together in another nonprofit, which started this whole thing going. That was way back in the early 1970s, maybe 1969. Really? And that group is called East Bay Asian Youth Services. And I don't know if you guys know Great Mark. Do you guys know? Great Mark was the person who started that group. He got a lot of the students from UC Berkeley. And at that time in 1970, I was really lucky and I got into UC Berkeley. Although I just came from Hong Kong in 1971, I went to Berkeley. In 1970, September, I got to the US. And that's the time when I came from Hong Kong. And so for me, that was very, very exciting. My first job almost is to work with nonprofits. Who knows? After 40 something years, we are together again.
Full circle.
Yeah. Was a founder, was it Ted Dang that you know?
No, I know Ted Dang. Ted Dang is actually right now, okay, my office right now is next door to the old Ibalsi building. You know, the Star building? The Star building, that's where my office is. I moved from that office It was built in 1984 by Ted Deng with another group. So I'm also one of the first tenants or one of the first owners that moved into his building. From there, I grew the practice very quickly. I soon outgrew the room I have. So I moved to Frank Juma building. That's when you guys started the brand new building. I'm your first tenant, one of your original commercial tenants.
Love it.
Yeah, so what an interesting story, right?
Yes,
So-
I love all the connections.
Right. So maybe we can, schedule another time that we can talk. I think this is wonderful that we get to know each other. And so anything else you want to say before we close off?
I want to thank you for this opportunity and for the stories. I'm sorry, Elle.
Yeah, I just
Wonderful to
wanted to
chat with you.
say I'm like super excited to like hear about your trajectory. I think it would be great to feature you as, somebody who experienced Ibalsi throughout these years and has also been very generous to Ibalsi. And so, yeah, maybe Vicky and I can get back in touch with you and see if you'd be comfortable with that. I'm fascinated by this whole trajectory. I really want to know whether we write about it or not. I'm just very curious at this point. And I also want to say your idea is a great idea, and it's basically you're trying to create family and community for people.
Yes.
And I think to the extent that I know, and like I said, I'm very new, but I know that this is something that Ibalsi strives to do within the communities. I think your approach is very interesting and unique. And I'm sure a lot of folks would like to hear more about it and see, what else we could do to incorporate some of your vision and what we do. Let's keep that conversation going. It's really interesting.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really sorry. I have to leave now. I have another meeting coming up. So again, I want to thank you very much. And I really appreciate your time. And then Vicky, probably we can get in touch and see if we can schedule another meeting and talk further. Okay.
That'd be great. Wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Rose.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Rose.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.